This is the problem. Filming a Morgan Super 3, people do stop all the time.
You're watching Roadborne. I'm Tim, and this is the Morgan Super 3.
More specifically, this is my Morgan Super 3. Now, I've owned this Morgan Super 3 for 2 years now, and of all the cars that I've owned, this is the one that gets by far the most attention and questions. One of the most common questions when people see that it's an open cockpit with 3 wheels is, well, is it safe? And I think a lot of those questions come from the Top Gear crash. And that's understandable. December 2022, one of these vehicles was being driven around the Top Gear track and overturned while being driven by Freddie Flintoff. Horrific, absolutely no two questions about it. And more recently, there's been a YouTube video with Paul Rees, who was a Top Gear Pro driver who was also in the vehicle. I'm not here to speculate on what happened. There are ongoing legal proceedings. That would be completely irresponsible of me. The purpose of this is to give a bit of an overview as what I think, as somebody who's owned and driven this car for 2 years, about what it is really like to drive. Is it safe? Is it unstable? Can you drive it and live with it like a normal vehicle? When it comes to integral safety equipment, there's a seatbelt. Honestly, that is about it. Of course, it has been crash tested. It has a structural chassis, but it doesn't have the safety equipment of a modern vehicle. There is no stability control, no traction control, no power steering, no airbags. The roll hoops, slightly ineffective. But that is the beauty of these cars. They are very analog cars, and if you approach them as such and understand that in a modern vehicle, it's the car first. It detects a problem, prevents the problem, and protects the driver or the passenger. In a vehicle like this, it is very much on the driver to anticipate, and it forces you to drive differently. You cannot drive this vehicle like you would a modern car, for example. Once you get that, you get it. This is why I freaking love this thing. Everything about this car is different, including how you get into it. I've got that down to a fine art right now. But as soon as you're in the Super 3, you realise that you are in something different and you have to drive it accordingly. You are completely open to the elements. There is no roof on this vehicle. There is a tonneau cover to keep some rain off. That is about it. There is no windscreen. I have these fly screens. They do a pretty decent job of deflecting the majority of wind, but you find yourself having to sort of duck around it. You're very low to the ground as well. When you're in traffic at speed, you can feel very vulnerable with that, which is when you really need to be wearing a helmet, and we'll talk about helmets a little bit later in the video. But I say all these things and they sound like negatives. They are not negatives. This is the reason why I own this and other owners rave about them so much. The one big consideration in driving a Morgan Super 3, and I don't want to state the obvious, it's only got 3 wheels. Now, it's not like a 3-wheeler like the old Reliant Robins where your single wheel is up the front. Your single wheel is behind you here. That is your driven wheel. It is a far more stable configuration for a 3-wheeled car. But whatever the configuration, when you have 3 wheels, there are certain things that you have to bear in mind. One of those considerations is just avoiding obstacles on the road. Potholes are a great example. Normally, when you're in a car, you just run the pothole through the center of the car. You can't do that. That's where your middle wheel is. So you find yourself having to either go round or try and get it in that third or quarter of the car there. More importantly, And if you've ever driven down a British country road, you will know exactly what I mean by this. All of the debris that accumulates in the middle of the road, so gravel, mud, everything else. And of course, that's where your middle wheel is. That's where your driven wheel is. You only have to hit that at 20 miles an hour and you are fishtailing down the road. It's only caught me out once or twice in a couple of years. But again, it changes how you drive. You have to look ahead. You have to anticipate. You cannot enter corners as quickly as you would in a normal car. When it's wet, to be fair, when you don't have a roof, it's pretty pointless taking it out in the wet. But if you do get caught in a rainstorm and the roads become wet and greasy, you have to think about how you're taking this through a corner.
It's not to say that you can't put your foot down now and again, but for me that isn't the purpose of this car. I have a modern sports car. I'm lucky enough to have an Alpine A110S in the garage. This for me is my Sunday toy. Beautiful summer's day, British country road. This is very much what the car was designed to. Does it feel uncontrollable? No, not in the slightest, but I'm experienced with driving it now. I know how it reacts. I know how far ahead onto the road I need to be looking. I know my stopping distances. I think when you approach it like that and not as a modern car, there is no better feeling.
So could I roll my Morgan Super 3? Yes, probably, but then I could roll any vehicle. There's nothing inherently dangerous about the Morgan Super 3. It just requires a very different type of driving and how you approach the vehicle. It is not a daily driver. It is a piece of fun. It is the most fun thing I own. It is astonishingly good if you appreciate and want that very analog experience. And if you want to be talking to other petrol heads, as I've said on other videos, this is the vehicle that gets stopped and talked about more than anything else. I've had this parked up next to Porsche GT3 RS's. This is the thing that gets the photographs because it is so rare on the road.
Helmet time.
So should you be wearing a helmet in the Morgan Super 3? Legally, it's not actually required. I think it is a matter of personal choice and personal risk. You're in an open cockpit vehicle, like a convertible or similar car. You want to be in your element. A beautiful British summertime's day like today, this is great for the soul, right? To feel the wind in your face. And when you only have these little fly screens and not full windscreens, you do get the wind in your face. But over 40 miles an hour on a dual carriageway, I will always wear a helmet. Absolutely. You feel super vulnerable in this car if you're going at speed. I mean, the wonderful thing with this car is you don't actually have to be going too fast to feel like you're going fast. Once you're over 40 miles an hour in this, it actually feels like 60 in any other vehicle. But it is subject to crosswinds. It is subject to movement if a large vehicle is coming past you. So in all instances over 40, without fail, I will put on a helmet. As something of a compromise, I use an open face helmet like this with a, would you call that a retractable visor? I guess so. So how do we answer the question of, is the Morgan Super 3 a safe car? Is it as safe as a modern sports car? No, of course it's not. It doesn't have those driver aids. Does that mean it's uncontrollable? No, of course it doesn't. It just demands something different from you as a driver. It requires you to anticipate, to look at the road surface, to look at the camber of the road. And when you get that, there is no vehicle like this. There is no driving experience like this, and that's why we buy them. You just have to approach it in a very different way. As a vehicle, it's a completely different proposition. This isn't my daily driver. It's not even my second driver. I call this the third car. You know, this is the ultimate, you know, toy for me. I think I drive this 2,000 miles a year maximum, absolute maximum, probably more like 1,000, 1,500. It's not out in the wet. I am not as comfortable driving it in the wet, nor do I want to get it too dirty. It's a bit of a garage queen, if I'm honest with you. But I love to own it. I love to talk to people about it. Just recording this video today, this has taken me 3 times as long as anything else, because everybody stops. Everybody wants to know what it is. And for that reason, I love it.